At her graduation party, she toasted, "Thanks to my parents, my professors, and my emotional support wallet." Oops, I mean boyfriend. Everyone laughed. I just smiled. The next day, I moved out and transferred her car lease back to her. She called me crying, but I was already 3 states away. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. She stood at the center of the room, champagne glass in one hand, the other dramatically sweeping across the air like she was delivering an Oscar acceptance speech. The lights were dimmed. Fairy lights dangled from the ceiling. Everyone, friends, classmates, family, professors, watched her, phones out, waiting for her grand finale. I was standing a few feet away, just off to the side, right where I always was, in her corner, but never quite in her spotlight. She beamed. "I just want to say thank you to my amazing parents, my brilliant professors, my best friends, and of course," she looked right at me with a playful smirk, "my emotional support wallet." Oops, I mean boyfriend. Laughter erupted. Her friends doubled over. Someone actually clapped. I laughed too, not out of amusement, but instinct. That hollow, automatic kind of laugh you give when you realize everyone else is in on a joke you didn't know you were part of. She gave me a quick wink like it was cute, like I should be flattered. I smiled, nodded, even raised my glass. But inside, something twisted. Quietly, definitively. That was the moment I knew I was done. We met 4 years ago, during our sophomore year in college. I was working part-time at a local IT support desk. She was fresh-faced, bubbly, undeclared major with no car and 3 roommates. Her smile could light up a blackout, and when she laughed, I genuinely forgot how tired I was from juggling class and 2 jobs. She had dreams. Big ones. Wanted to get into grad school for psychology. Said she'd open her own practice someday. I believed in her. I wanted to be the guy that stood by her while she built her empire. So I started paying for things, first out of generosity, then necessity. It started small. Her books, a few meals, groceries here and there. Then came the rent. Then her phone bill. Then her car lease when her old Civic gave out and she needed something reliable for internships. That car was in my name. She always thanked me. At first, anyway. She'd say, "I don't know what I'd do without you." And that felt good. Like I mattered. Like I was part of her success story. But slowly, the thanks disappeared. Then the warmth. Then the respect. By our last year in college, she'd joke with friends about being a trophy intellectual with a sugar daddy. She'd say it like it was cute, harmless, then brush it off when I brought it up. "You know I'm just playing," she'd say. But it stopped feeling like play when she introduced me at a networking mixer as her logistics partner, because I'd driven her and set up her table for the student showcase. Her friends never saw me as a partner. To them, I was the guy who paid for Uber Eats and Wi-Fi, the man-shaped purse, a silent contributor. And for a while, I accepted that. I told myself I was investing in us, that once she made it, things would balance out. She told me once, half drunk, lying across our couch, that she was so close to being the version of myself I always dreamed of being. I looked at her and said, "You're already that person." She didn't reply, just turned up the volume on Netflix. Looking back now, I realized that night was the beginning of the end. I just didn't see it. Not yet. I used to count how many times she publicly dismissed me. Then I stopped because it happened too often to keep track. The first time it really stung was at one of her psychology department mixers. I'd left work early, rushed through traffic, and showed up with a box of printed handouts she forgot at home. I handed them to her, a little out of breath, wearing my work polo with a grease stain on it from grabbing a burrito on the way over. She took the box, barely looked at me, then turned to her friends and said, "This is my logistics guy." Laughter. I stood there, holding an extra bag of cookies she'd asked for, trying to figure out if I misheard her. I hadn't. When I confronted her about it later, she rolled her eyes. I didn't want to sound like I brought my boyfriend to a professional event. Don't take it personally. And I didn't. At least, I told myself I didn't. But it stuck. Things got worse after she landed a prestigious internship during her last semester. Suddenly, she was part of a different crowd. People who threw wine nights instead of parties, who talked about journals and conferences and leveling up. I supported it. Hell, I celebrated it. I even bought her a new wardrobe so she could dress the part. Suits, heels, A MacBook she said she desperately needed to keep up. The MacBook cost more than my first car. At one of those wine nights, I overheard one of her friends ask if she was still with that IT guy. She laughed and said, "For now, he's sweet. Good for stability, you know?" That was the moment I stopped going to her events unless she absolutely begged me to. I never felt good enough for her anymore. Not smart enough, not successful enough, not polished enough. I felt like a placeholder, someone she'd outgrow and leave behind once her real life started. I tried to bring it up once. Told her I was feeling like she didn't value me anymore. She frowned, almost annoyed. "You're being dramatic. Everything I've built, you've been part of that. You should feel proud. You are appreciated. But appreciation isn't the same as love." Still, I stayed. Because I remembered the girl who used to fall asleep on my chest while studying for exams. The one who cried when I surprised her with a weekend getaway to help her de-stress. The one who held my hand like it meant something. I kept waiting for that girl to come back. But every day, I watched her become someone new. Someone colder, sharper, funnier, but only at someone else's expense. Especially mine. She once joked to her friends during brunch, "He's like a boyfriend and a budget planner rolled into one." They laughed. She didn't even glance at me. That brunch was 2 weeks before the graduation party. I almost left then, but I didn't. Instead, I smiled, paid the bill, and reminded myself I was doing this for us. Then I went home and ordered the custom banner for her party. It read, "Congratulations, Dr. Hartley. The world is yours." Turns out it was. And I was just footing the bill. The morning of her graduation party, I was up at 7 a.m. She was still asleep, curled up in the sheets while I loaded folding chairs into the back of my car. The rental company dropped off tables at 10. I set them up alone. Balloons. A white and gold banner. Floral centerpieces her Pinterest board said she liked the vibe of. I even made a Spotify playlist filled with songs she once said reminded her of her journey. She didn't show up to help until half an hour before guests arrived. She waltzed in wearing a white jumpsuit and gold heels, sipping an iced coffee and scrolling through Instagram like she hadn't seen the effort it took to make this happen. "You forgot to set out the Prosecco," she said, kissing my cheek absent-mindedly. "And don't forget to Venmo the caterer after." "No, thank you. Just a list of instructions." I did as I was told. The backyard was packed by 6 p.m. At least 50 people. Her family, her friends, former professors, old classmates, her internship director, even her high school English teacher. People toasted to her brilliance, her perseverance, her future. Everyone smiled like they were watching a star be born. No one noticed the guy by the cooler refilling ice. Eventually, someone tapped a spoon against a glass and called for a toast. From her, the graduate. I stood near the corner of the patio, next to the table I'd rented and decorated. She took the center stage with effortless charm. I swear, she could have been hosting an award show. She thanked her professors, her parents, her study group, her therapist, even her dog. Then, right at the end, she looked at me. And of course, I couldn't have done it without my emotional support wallet. Boyfriend. Laughter. Big, loud belly laughs. Even her mom chuckled. I just stood there. The moment froze in my head. The clinking glasses. The flash from someone's phone. Her friends giggling and whispering to each other like it was the funniest thing ever. And her, smiling like she'd just nailed the punchline. No one looked at me. Not even her. I laughed too. Not because it was funny, but because it was easier than looking hurt in front of 50 people. I raised my plastic cup and smiled. She gave me a quick wink and moved on, talking about her future and her next chapter. That was the moment it clicked. Not just the joke. The whole thing. I wasn't part of her next chapter. I was a footnote in the acknowledgments section. A prop. The guy who held the camera, carried the chairs, paid the bills, and made sure she never had to worry while she chased her dreams. I was useful, reliable, convenient, but I wasn't seen. I watched her finish her toast. She looked right past me, locked eyes with a professor, and moved into the crowd like the main character at her own movie premiere. I slipped away a little while later, said I needed to check on the cake. Instead, I walked upstairs, sat on the edge of the bed we used to share, and opened the Notes app on my phone. I started listing what needed to be canceled. By the time the last guest left and the backyard was littered with confetti and half-empty plastic cups, she was already tipsy and glowing. She wrapped her arms around my neck and slurred, "You're the best. Seriously, you always come through." I smiled, kissed her forehead, walked her upstairs. She passed out fully dressed, face down on the bed while her phone buzzed nonstop from her friends tagging her in Instagram stories. I sat in the living room, alone, listening to the hum of the mini fridge and the soft thump of bass from a Bluetooth speaker someone forgot to turn off. I opened my laptop and got to work. First, I canceled the secondary card on my credit account, the one she used for groceries, takeout, skincare, and those overpriced therapy sessions she never actually went to. Then I emailed the leasing company about transferring the car. I'd bought her a reliable sedan 2 years ago when her beat-up Civic died, put it in my name, and paid the monthly note like clockwork. The next morning, I called and confirmed she would now be the primary on the lease. I even paid the transfer fee. Consider it a graduation gift. Then I booked a 2-week stay in a mountain cabin 3 states away. No cell service, no Wi-Fi. I needed time, space, silence. On my way out, I packed only my essentials. My laptop, my clothes, my documents. Left everything else, including the TV, the couch, and the kitchen appliances. She picked them all anyway. Let her keep them. Let them remind her. I left her a note on the bathroom mirror, written in dry erase marker. "Thanks for the education. Good luck with the next chapter." Then I locked the door behind me. Drove off before sunrise. She didn't even stir. I didn't check my phone for 48 hours. When I finally turned it on at a gas station outside Asheville, I had 27 texts, 8 missed calls, and 4 voicemails, all from her. The first one, "Where are you? Did you go to the store or something?" Then, "Why isn't my card working?" Then, "Are you mad about something? Babe." The voicemails were increasingly frantic. She alternated between confused, annoyed, and vaguely apologetic. But nowhere in those recordings did I hear the words I'd been waiting to hear for months. "I'm sorry I hurt you." She wasn't sorry for how she made me feel. She was sorry for the consequences. The real panic set in after she got a call from the leasing company. She found out the car payments, formerly auto-deducted from my account, were now fully hers. She called her dad, then her mom, then me again. She even tried DMing my brother on Instagram. At that point, she realized I wasn't coming back. She hadn't just lost the guy who cleaned up after her or footed her bills. She lost the only person who actually gave a damn about her when she had nothing to offer but ambition. The final text came the night before her first official day of work at her new job. "I don't know if this is forever or just space, but I want you to know I appreciate you. Always have. That joke wasn't meant to hurt you. I didn't think it'd land like that. I was nervous. Please don't disappear on me like this." I didn't reply. Instead, I posted a photo to my Instagram, one I'd taken from the cabin deck, a steaming cup of coffee in one hand, a view of the mountains blanketed in early morning fog in front of me. The caption read, "Funny thing about wallets. When you take everything out of them, they're just empty space." She saw it. I know she did. She unfollowed me 2 hours later. A mutual friend said she cried at work that week and told people I left out of nowhere. But I didn't leave out of nowhere. I left the moment she stood in front of 50 people and told the world I was nothing more than her ATM with arms. I just waited until the party was over to actually walk away. I stayed in the mountains for 10 days. No phone calls, no emails, just long hikes, books I never had time to finish, and the kind of sleep that only comes when you finally let go of someone who was weighing you down. For the first few days, I kept waiting for the urge to forgive her, to call her, to explain myself, to tell her it wasn't just about the toast. It was about every little moment that led to it. But the urge never came. Because the truth was, she knew. She always knew. She just never thought I'd actually walk. The world she was building didn't include me. It never did. I was a scaffold, something to support her while she rose. She just never expected me to move when she reached the top. By the time I came back into range, I'd missed dozens more calls and texts. Some were angry. Some were apologetic. Some made no sense at all. The last one came from her mom. "I'm sorry about what happened. She misses you. She didn't mean to humiliate you. That's just her way of being funny sometimes. Please don't hold it against her." That was the moment I realized it went deeper than just her. That maybe no one ever held her accountable. That maybe I was just the latest in a long line of people expected to carry her without asking for anything back. I blocked the number, not out of bitterness, but out of peace. I wasn't angry anymore. I didn't need revenge. I didn't want her back. I didn't care who she dated next or whether she'd learned anything. I just wanted silence. And I finally had it. A few weeks later, I heard she'd posted a TikTok, a sad little video with a trending song over clips of old photos. One of the captions read, POV, you never appreciated the man who gave you everything until he disappeared. It got about 20 likes before she took it down. A mutual friend messaged me and said, you really messed her up. She still talks about you like you died. I didn't reply. There was nothing left to say. Because I didn't die, I just walked away. And sometimes, that's all the closure you need. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.